the new year on its way shortly, you've probably heard the term New Year, New Me. It's this idea that rolls around that a fresh calendar year is going to allow people to become an entirely new person with entirely new habits. However, if you've ever implemented New Year's resolutions, you probably know that they go strong for about a week or two, and then they slowly die out before you never touch them again. This is a reality that I'm sure a lot of you have faced. I know I have personally, but the good news is there's a solution for it and can be found in this book right here, Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's phenomenal. If you have not read it, you are in luck today. The perfect place to start is actually with the 4 laws of behavior change. These laws are here to help you. If you follow them, you can actually develop any good habit that you are trying to. So the first law is actually to make it obvious. If something is obvious to you, you are going to do it all the time. However, if it isn't as obvious, if it's kind of hidden and you're having to actually remind yourself to do it time and time again, you probably aren't going to continue to do that habit. Now, the first way to make a habit obvious is actually to make the habit specific. Now, it might not seem like those two are related, but let me give you an example. Now, let's take the phrase, I will work out tomorrow. This seems pretty normal, right? It seems pretty harmless. This is something people say all the time to themselves with regards to habits. But let's dig a bit deeper. What does workout mean? Are you going to go for a run? Are you going to lift weights? Are you going on a bike ride? Are you going to be working out at home or at the gym? What does tomorrow mean? There's a lot of time in tomorrow. Are you going to be working out right when you wake up, before work, after work, on lunch? There's a ton of questions that you actually need to clarify here. I will work out tomorrow is not a good thing to say if you were trying to develop a habit. There is nothing specific about the habit for you to stay accountable to that action. On the other hand, if someone were to say, I will do cardio at 8 a.m. in the gym, you have now given that habit a place and a time to actually live in the world. Your habit now has specific instructions for you to act on, so you're no longer playing a guessing game. You can also actually alter your physical environment to help with this law as well. So let's say that you want to play the guitar more, right? Well, what you should do is you should put that guitar on its stand in your living room where you're going to see it all the time, instead of putting it in your closet or maybe in your bedroom where you're only going to see it once or twice a day. By seeing it all the time, by making it obvious to you, you are going to want to play that guitar more. You can also do the opposite here. So let's say that you want to stop eating junk food as often, right? What you can do, instead of leaving junk food laid out on the counter, maybe cookies or chips or whatever it is, pack it up and put it somewhere where you're not going to go that often, so that when you actually do want the junk food, you have to be very intentional about eating it. The second law is to make it attractive. So if an activity is attractive or desirable to you, it's pretty obvious that you're going to do it more often, right? Like, think about all of the bad habits you have. Let's say you're on your phone too much. Maybe you're eating too much junk food. These habits are actually attractive to you, right? Your phone gives you that dopamine spike. Maybe it gives you that social security, right? Checking social media. The junk food, your body craves sugar. So these things are attractive to you. They are just bad habits. So the question becomes, how can we make good habits attractive? One answer to this is something called temptation bundling. The formula for temptation bundling is after habit I need, I will have it I want. So an example might be, after I go to the gym, I will watch that new Devin Nagami YouTube video. Habit I need, go to the gym. Habit I want, Devin Nagami YouTube video. The idea here is that the human brain actually responds strongly to the anticipation of a reward, not necessarily the fulfillment of that reward. So you're actually able to condition yourself to enjoy the habit that you need to do, because you will look forward to the anticipation of the habit you want to do. So because you want to get home and watch that new video, you're actually going to look forward to going to the gym, because the gym is going to be that anticipation of you getting to watch that video later. Another way to make a habit attractive is to actually put yourself in a culture where that habit is the norm. The reason is that humans want to be accepted and tend to imitate 3 main groups. The first is the close, the second is the many, and the third is the powerful. Let me explain what those mean. Let's say you want to become a runner. The best thing you can do is to join a running club that runs several times per week with a lot of people in the club. If you think back to those 3 groups I mentioned, the close, the many, and the powerful, you're going to be meeting up with this group several times a week, spending a lot of time with them, getting to know them quite well through your new activity of running, and so they're going to become quite close to you. Group one. The group is bigger than you. It's bigger than just one person. And so when you don't show up that week, you're going to be forced to explain why you didn't come. And that social pressure is going to force you to continue to show up and continue to run because you're going to want to comply with number two, the many. And there's going to be a ton of people in that group who have been running for years. Maybe they've run a marathon, maybe they've run an Ironman, whatever it is, they're going to be in great shape. And those people, you're going to look up to them. You're going to aspire to be like them. You want to be a better runner yourself. That's why you joined this group. That's why you have this habit. And as a result, you're going to want to impress them and earn their respect. And that is why you're imitating the third one, the powerful. All of a sudden, by putting yourself in this culture where running is the norm, running on a consistent basis is the normal thing to do, you find the motivation to run much easier than you did before. The third law is to make it easy. So the truth is, it doesn't matter how good your intentions are. It doesn't matter how bad you want to change your habit. If you make something difficult for you to do, you are not going to do it. And the thing is, habits are actually formed based on frequency, not based on the amount of time that you've been doing the habit. So it's really important to make that habit easy for you to do because you want to do it more and more often. And in order to make that habit easy, in order for you to get your reps in, you should implement something called the 2-minute rule. The 2-minute rule states that when you start a new habit, the habit should only take 2 minutes for you to actually complete. This is going to make your habits seem much easier, much less intimidating, and much more likely for you to complete and get that rep in. So reading before bed, that habit, it turns into reading one page. Practicing the guitar turns into learning one new chord. Going for a run turns into tying your shoes. The point is not to do that one thing, right? Most people aren't proud of themselves for tying their shoes. The point is to master the art of showing up. You want to prove to yourself that you are the type of person who shows up to the habits that they decided to stick to. And the only way to do that is to make it extremely easy. And the good news is, just like the first law, make it obvious, you can actually use your environment to help you make it easy. So let's say you want to eat healthier. Well, what you can do is at the beginning of the week, you can chop up a bunch of fruits, a bunch of vegetables, and put them into prepackaged containers in your fridge so that you have easy access to healthy food throughout the week. And so that's the third law. If you want to form a new habit, you have to make it easy so you can get your reps in. The fourth law is that you need to make the habit satisfying. The reason you need to make the habit satisfying is because if it isn't satisfying to do, you're probably not going to complete that habit again. So you've gone the whole way around so far, and now you're at the very end. And the point of making it satisfying is so that you can restart that loop. The issue is that we live in something called a delayed return environment. Essentially, that means that sometimes you have to actually work for years before your actions have their intended payoffs. So it's difficult for us to follow good habits because the consequences of a good habit, the pain of a good habit, is immediate, but the reward is very delayed into the future. On the other hand, it's easy for us to fall into bad habits because the consequences of bad habits are delayed, but the reward is immediate. For example, we know that working out is good for our long-term health, but we don't want to do it because it's painful in the moment. On the other hand, something like ice cream, you eat it in the moment because it satisfies you, but you know that the long-term health effects are not good. So in order to make a habit satisfying, we actually need to find a way to make it instantly satisfying. And the best way to make a habit instantly satisfying is to actually make it visible. Here are a couple examples to explain what I mean. So maybe you're trying to eat out less, right? You're trying to save money. Well, what you can do is you can actually set up a bank account, a separate savings account, and every time you have the urge to go out and eat and you don't, you can put the money that you would have spent into that account. You can then use that account to work towards some sort of long-term spending goal of something that you want to actually buy for yourself, something materialistic preferably. That way, every time you don't go and eat out, you can actually put that money towards something new that you want. Maybe it's a jacket or a watch, whatever it is. That is going to make the good habit of you not spending money eating out instantly satisfying. Another example is using a habit tracking sheet. I've actually made a short on this before, but this sheet essentially is a habit tracker. It tracks all of the habits that you are trying to improve at or implement into your life. Basically, every time you complete a habit, you're going to be able to check this thing off of your habit sheet. It's going to make it visual for you. You're going to be able to see your progress as you have completed it. And it's really satisfying to check it off after you've done it. So those are a few examples. You can really get creative with whatever habit that you are trying to accomplish. But that is the fourth law. make it satisfying. And so before I wrap up this video, I want to give you just a little bit of motivation. If this seems like a lot of work, I want to show you the incredible results that a year's worth of good habits can have on your life. You see, it's really easy to give up on habits because the results aren't that noticeable, or they don't seem to be at least. For example, if you were to get 1% better at something from today to tomorrow, would you even notice a difference? Probably not. But if you were able to get 1% better at something every single day for an entire year, at the end of that year, you would end up being 37 times better at that thing than when you started. It is absolutely nuts to think about. It's crazy how much a compounding effect of habits can have. However, that 37 times better thing is really easy to get caught up on, but that is the outcome of your habit. And I do not want you to focus on the outcomes of your habits. And here's why. This is the layers of behavior change. The layers actually start to become more impactful, more important as you move in. And as you can see, outcomes are on the very outside. They are the least important. Instead of focusing your attention on the outcomes, instead of creating outcome-based habits, you should actually focus on the identity part of the behavior change. You want to be the kind of person who changes their identity surrounding a habit. So let me give you an example of this. Let's say there's two people who are trying to quit smoking who are offered a cigarette. One person says, no thanks, I'm really trying to quit smoking actually. But the other person says, no thanks, I don't smoke. You see, the person who says, I'm trying to quit, those people have outcome-based habits. They're trying to quit smoking. But the person who says, I don't smoke, has actually changed their identity. They are now someone who doesn't smoke. These are really subtle differences, but they are going to have a huge impact on the way that you act when you're confronted in a situation like this. Easy way to remember this is to actually reform your habits into identity-based statements. Your goal should not be to read a book. It should be to become a reader. Your goal should not be to run a marathon. It should be to become a runner. So whatever habit you are trying to form in this new year, I hope this has helped. Remember the 4 laws of behavior change and make sure that you are forming identity-based habits instead of outcome-based habits every single time that you are showing up to do the thing. So if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to drop it a like, subscribe to my channel. It would mean a whole lot. I really appreciate you watching. I will see you in the next one. And until next time, stay curious.